Hello, everybody out there. This is Christine West, and I'm so excited. Welcome to the Emotional Dilemma podcast. And I'm so excited to have my guest, Melani, who is one of my favorite New Yorkers out there. And I'm so honored that she has taken time out of her day to come share herself with us. And I'm just so excited. So you could say hello to our audience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie. I am a New Yorker, like Dr. West said, and I'm excited to be here. Dr. Christine and I met, oh my gosh, what is it, like almost a year ago? I'm not sure, but we've never met in person. So I'm excited to look into her world a little bit and share with you my journey.
Yes. So you have a marketing background,
I do.
which is, we all know we need to market to get anywhere.
Yep. Even moms need to market.
Yeah. So do you consider yourself a mom marketer?
No. I'm a mom of three, and I've just learned that in order to, I have to present things in certain ways to my children, and each of them is different. And so, coming from my marketing background into motherhood, I'm like, okay, each of my children is different. It's like a different target audience. And so, there's different strategies to get the end result that I wanted. So, been pretty interesting in our journey and my journey as a mom.
So why marketing for you? How did you choose to go into marketing?
Oh, it's a great story. So when I was little, about 7 years old, my father, he was an executive for FW Woolworth. Remember that company, that
Yeah,
store
yeah.
chain? Yeah. So he was considering a promotion into a region that would include Puerto Rico. So it was the first time I was ever on an airplane, and my whole family. I'm the middle of five children, which plays a lot into my story. But the seven of us went on an airplane, and that was the first time I was ever exposed to another culture, and I was
Oh,
enthralled, and I wanted to know how to speak Spanish. So I was determined. I was 7 years old, whatever. As soon as I could start learning Spanish, I would. So in middle school, seventh grade, I just started on my journey to envelop and really get really good at Spanish, understand the culture, all the things. So I graduated with a bachelor's degree in Spanish. But here's the thing, I didn't want to teach it, but I
oh,
wanted to do something with it. And because my mother was an entrepreneur, my father was a corporate person, it just business was natural. So then I got my MBA in international business, because still bringing in the culture,
yeah.
um, with a focus on marketing. So that's how I got into marketing.
That's fascinating. And that's really beautiful that you had parents that had their backgrounds, that you were raised in some of this.
Correct.
So my question for you, though, because a lot of people don't have parents that were, into business or executives, what would you say were advantages that you had a head start in marketing with having that type of, parenting?
Well, I got a front row seat to two types of business: the entrepreneurial, my mom had a bookstore,
Yeah.
and the corporate. My dad, like I mentioned, worked for Woolworth. So when I went down that track of of wanting to study Spanish, but knowing I didn't want to teach it, now mostly because I didn't like chalk and chalkboards. I got a thing with that. Nowadays, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it was all good. And so when I went down that track, I was so supported in that, because it was the corporate and the entrepreneurial together, and I had understanding on both. So I just felt like it was a perfect alignment to how I was raised and what I understood as normal.
So in your normal, what is there anything that you're willing to share that, because you had this, type of parenting, this upbringing, this type of conditioning, that was a disadvantage to you?
So the dis the challenge, I guess, if we
Yeah.
want to go down that, the
Yeah.
challenge was, I mentioned before that I was the middle of five children, and I
Yeah.
had two working parents, raised in the 70s and 80s, so a different time.
Yeah.
We were alone a lot,
Yeah.
which was normal, very normal,
Yeah, it was.
and expected, pretty much. Like, you came home from school, there was an empty home. But because of the size of our family and the busyness of my parents, there was a lot overlooked. And I know my parents loved me, and they told me and they showed it
Yeah.
in certain ways, but I felt really overlooked, and I, in some ways, felt rejected. I'm like, huh,
Oh,
because I didn't excel in those years as far as in sports or in academics. I was above average academics, not sports at all. I was a cheerleader, which is a sport, but back then it was really not a sport. It was more, you're a cheerleader, you're fun, you're happy. And my parents didn't come to see me cheer because it wasn't considered a sport. And so there's a lot of other stories in there. And then I'm not saying anything negative of my parents because they just had their hands full.
yeah.
But I learned to just accept things, and that rejection was just a part of it, or being overlooked was a part of it. I don't know if I would say rejection back then.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think I was rejected, but those glasses that I wore, I experienced a lot of rejection as I went through my adulthood,
Yeah.
which, in business, especially the entrepreneurial space, that is huge because
Yes. Yes.
rejection is a part of business.
Yes.
But having been raised that, I wasn't raised in a way, not in a way, raised in an environment where I was just, okay, well, whatever, they forgot to pick me up. Okay, whatever, they forgot to buy that thing I asked for. I just got used to it. And so that's not a good place to be.
So what I'm curious about, because this is super important for entrepreneurs, because you brought up, the word overlooked.
Mhm.
So often, and especially in a busy online world, we're constantly overlooked.
Yeah.
Constantly, because it's busy out there.
Mhm.
So in your expertise, can are you willing to share some tips with folks about how to gain the attention of
Yeah,
others and not get overlooked?
absolutely. I just did a training on this week.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. Yeah,
it's all about personal branding. Now I'm going to backtrack a little bit with my marketing skill set so that you can know where I'm coming from. So
right.
after I got my MBA, I worked in corporate marketing for 10 years.
Okay.
Then I stayed home in 2000 to start a family.
Yeah.
And while I was home, though, I embraced the world of network marketing. And I also was a part-time marketing professor at 2 local colleges. So I've always had my hands in the marketing world. So all that's to say is I'm coming with a lot of experience of pre-social media and
Yeah.
now with social media. And it's really what I do is I take foundational marketing principles and apply them to the social space. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Personal branding is all about standing out, but the first step you need to take is you have to decide how you want people to feel when they interact with you. So, my definition of marketing is an exchange of value that's triggered by an emotional connection because it's all about emotion. We buy
Yeah.
on emotion and all that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you have to decide, okay, what do I want people to feel when they connect with me? And so I bring up the example of I'm in New York, and I don't know if this exists other places in the country, but Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts are
Yeah.
two different coffee shops. That's what they are. The
Yeah.
very essence is they're coffee shops, but they do things very differently. You think different words, you have different emotions when you think of either one. And so that's the same for you. When you are crafting or curating your personal brand, how do you want people to feel when they have a touch point, we call that marketing, with you? Okay. So you really have to brainstorm and decide that. That's your first step. The second step is self-evaluation. Okay, am I in alignment with what I want to show up as? Do I need to change the way I dress, who I hang around with? Maybe I need to improve my skills. Maybe the words I use are not in alignment with how I want to show up, right? So as you might want to use different language, different words, proper English or more casual English, whatever that is. And then the third step is that then you have to start crafting content. So that's how you show up on social media is with your content, your live videos, your posts, your reels, your stories, all the stories meaning the actual story function, not that you're telling a story.
Yeah.
Evaluate those and bring somebody in who doesn't really know you that well, if you can, and say, hey, can you just read these and tell me how it makes you feel? Because if you're using like your spouse, they know you really well and they might not say the right thing because they have a different perspective of you. And those are the 3 steps: decide, then intentionally evaluate, and then create, and then get someone to evaluate.
This is awesome. It is fascinating because you're speaking about something that's external, but it's so similar to, in my internal world of speaking about emotions. Because if you're going to communicate with somebody, it's about connecting with somebody's emotion. That in my world, it's even before connecting, one has to think about understanding one's own emotion. So where are you at? So for example, if you're super happy and you're looking through the lens of happiness and people around you are angry, are you going to be received, you know, received in the same light? So for example, if a bunch of people are super like about something and you come up and say, just be positive.
Yeah. No.
No. And so it's not about, so from my point of view, what you just said, it's really about getting into, if you know your audience, and let's say that your audience is super conservative, you're certainly not going to start speaking about things that are super progressive and expect them to convert, because then what's going to happen is going to trigger emotion that is going to go down, out in left field into the outer loops of something, and nothing's going to get accomplished.
Correct. And as you're saying that, this is something I teach my clients and my team all the time, is that the thing that stays consistent is you, the personal brand. The thing that you change is your marketing strategy. So that is fluid. Who you are is static, right? Is that right? Yes, it's consistent. It stays the same. So that's the same thing to your point. If my brand is one of joy and happiness, and I'm connecting with something that's angry, I have to change my strategy to not change who I am, but to approach that in a different way so that the people receive and are emotionally connected to me. So same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Because if we're going through the world, for example, in my example of, hey, just be positive, because that's very popular in pop psychology.
Which is, okay, why did I think of that?
Why did I think of that? Okay, and let's, and then it dismisses the rest of the gamut of emotions that humans go through. So really, this is fascinating, because and what's also fascinating about it to me is because of how many people out there do not like to talk about emotions, but how the application of emotion, because we're selling to people, we're marketing to people, and we're communicating to people. So it's no different than, say, for example, if anybody's ever fell asleep to their TV on, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you hear these silly commercials that say, "You're hungry." You're hungry. Yeah. And then why are you all of a sudden hungry?
Yep. Exactly.
So really, in the emotional space, but we're also talking a lot about psychology too, which to me is the strategy.
Correct.
Yeah. So all those people out there that have said, psychology is not a real science, then why are
gosh.
Yeah.
It's all, marketing is all psychology, really. It's driven by psychology, understanding the beliefs, desires, and the feelings of the person you're trying to emotionally connect with.
Right. So it's similar to, like, say, for example, if somebody had a fundraiser and they say they have an online fundraiser versus an in-person fundraiser, there would be different strategies, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what would you say as far as with your clients and things that how did you get to be, like, I'm just going to say, how did you get to be so smart in this? I mean, was it your education or through trial and error?
I believe education trumps, I'm sorry, there goes my camera. I believe that experience
Yep.
trumps education.
Yep.
Experience trumps education all day long.
Okay.
I think that education is a great foundation, but education without application, you're just a textbook.
Yeah.
When I was teaching in the classroom, I would bring my personal experiences in business to to exemplify the theory. And that really made the impact. Again, it was an emotional connection with the students. So if all I ever did was spout out, facts and figures and bullet points, first of all, it'd be boring. I would lose them. But
Right.
second of all, how do I apply that to real life? So doing that, bringing in my own personal experiences, but also case studies and things like that. That's why case studies are so powerful. It's actually, okay, this
Right.
is what we're studying. Well, how does it work in real life? And I graduated in 1992 with my MBA. So I've had how many? Oh my gosh, 31 years in the marketing world, before social and after social. And I think that gives me an advantage. Also, just going through life experiences, and I think that you would agree, just makes you wiser in what you know.
Right.
I bring in a lot of women into my business who are empty nest moms or midlife moms. And I'm a firm believer in the skills that they've learned at home by raising children are powerful skills to bring into the marketplace. Negotiation, compassion, empathy, leadership training, time management, all of those things. So it's really life experience with a basis of education, whether that's formal or informal, is what makes any of us wise.
I agree with that because, in life, to me, we're constantly selling. And
Yes.
in my way I see it, and I don't mean just when I'm acting in my professional hat. I mean, as soon as we pick up the phone and we ask somebody to go hang out with us, we're selling the idea that I want you to go hang out with me.
Correct.
I want you to go to the movies with me. I want you to go to dinner with me. I want you to go have a glass of wine with me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And most people don't think about it that way, but it's also, to your points about marketing and being a mom, it's also about that. If you're marketing to your friends, like people that you've already developed relationships with, so they're already sold on you.
Yes.
So then when you say, hey, let's girls night, they're like, yeah, let's go do it. They're already sold. But
That's
if they,
exactly that's
yeah,
exactly right.
but if they didn't know, you say, for example, if you went to some networking event, and let's just say that you're one of those people that's just handing out business cards, and then you called somebody up and just said, hey, you want to do a girls trip for this weekend? They just skipping all of those things, they may think that I don't know. I don't know you. We're going to share a room, and we're going to share a hotel room, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. That's a little bit too fast.
That's exactly right. And that's what, when we talk about standing out in the
Yeah.
noisy world of social media, the goal with your content is people to get to like, know, and then trust you.
Yeah.
And so curating content that is about you, but for the person that you want to respond, to emotionally connect with them, that's the balance when you create your content. So it's not about, hey, buy my stuff, or hey, join my coaching program. Is you need to show up in, here it comes, here's that word, authenticity
Yeah.
of who you really are, so that the people meant for you can connect with you. And then after they consume your content, they're going to feel like they know you. I have people telling me all the time, oh my gosh, you're in my head. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking of that. That's because I'm dialed in to
Yeah.
who I'm meant to serve.
So you're clear because I mean, I'm sure you experienced this, but when I woke up today on LinkedIn, I had at least 10 messages that I consider spammy, of people that they were just, hey, Christine, I think it would be a great idea for you to opt into this program and to learn about this. This could 10x your business. Things like that. Or, hey, Christine, take this class. This would be a great class for you.
How did
Never.
that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
How it made me feel was, eh, eh, eh.
Yeah. Even on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is like, okay, I know I'm there for business, but even on LinkedIn, relationships are the foundation for business.
Yeah.
And so what I've done on LinkedIn is I've become involved in a network of entrepreneurs where we support and encourage each other and help promote each other's content, just because we're all connected to the same organization.
Yeah.
And it has done wonders, because when people see, oh, this person knows that person, oh, let me take a second look at this. Again,
Yes.
it's relationship driven.
Yeah, because one of the things, okay, like since we're same age, when I look at like, 70s, 80s, when I look at, okay, before social media, there was a core group of kids that you went to school with, core group of kids that you met at the park with, core group that you'd go to school functions with. And they were your trusted people. And I think that a lot of folks have skipped over that foundational relationships, because I know for me with social media, still being connected to some of those people because of those foundational elements, it can be where there's still curiosity about each other's lives, adult lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there's still like bits and pieces to have a conversation about. It's not just a, hey, you buy this.
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? You're my age. And I think that I know what's best for you.
Yeah. It's important, really important to establish that. And and you'll get some people once in a while say, hey, I love what you have to say, let's connect. But mostly it's relationship driven. I'm sorry about my dog. I don't know
No,
what's
no,
going
it's okay. I have a dog, and she's just being quiet right now. So,
on.
but part of, speaking the spirit of relationships, I think that a lot of times people have forgotten about really what a relationship is. And in the spirit of emotions, to me, it's about connecting emotionally with another.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not about, okay, we have to expose every little detail about our lives, but at the same time, it's about that connection. How do you feel when you're around that person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And each relationship is different, and you might be a little bit more vulnerable in this area with this person, and in this area with that person. Because that level of trust, as you peel back the onion with an intentional creation of the relationship, you'll become more vulnerable, or you may not. Maybe it's just a relationship that somebody through the cashier at the store. It's like, hey, or you go to your favorite restaurant. Oh, do you want to order that again? That's a different kind of relationship, but how it makes you feel, and I believe, and you're the expert here, we're all looking for a positive emotion. So how
Yeah.
that makes you feel, and how much you want to invest in that relationship. Obviously, if your spouse, your kids, your other family members, may or may not be the ones that you want to invest more in. I don't know. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But when you connect with people, and you've had that, it's like, oh my gosh, we just clicked. Why is that? Why do you just click with certain people?
Well, in the spirit of what you just said about a restaurant. So let's take that for example, because in marketing, because if you're a bartender or you're a server, part of your salary is tips. So part of it, you may not see that clientele or have their phone numbers or their email, but if you have a memory of, okay, so and so comes in here and they love Chardonnay, and the last time they were here, and I do remember their name. And as soon as you see them and say something such as, hey, I have this great Chardonnay, would you like to take a taste of this? That usually helps somebody say, wow, you remembered me, you paid attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
similar to in your world of teaching marketing, it's, hey, you're holding my attention because you have something out there that I want or speaks to me.
Mm-hmm.
You get me.
Yeah, that's what people want to. They want to feel seen,
Yeah.
heard, secure, loved, valued. They want to be seen. Yeah, you get
So
me.
yeah, it's something. I love this conversation because the old school way of workplace was, leave emotions at the door. And from my world, I don't know how you do that, because we're constantly making emotional decisions, and that's how humans function. And if you're, walking around, talking from the neck up, and people can't feel you, it's very hard to trust you.
I love that you brought that up. Leave emotions at the workplace, because I find women our age, when I bring them into business or help them with their own business, because of the way our upbringing was, it was like you're this person on the job and you're this person at home.
Yeah.
Professional, personal.
Yeah.
Now it's the same, especially
Yeah.
on social media. And so a lot of women our age, midlife, have a really hard time with, okay, I got to do a live video. Oh, and they sound like the newscaster or professor. And I'm guilty of it. When I stopped being Professor Sessa, and it was like, okay, let me go on a live video. My friends were like, you're teaching a class there. And it was a transition that I had to intentionally make, because I would just go into that. And so women our age, when they're looking to build a business through using digital marketing strategies, they have to rediscover themselves.
Right. And I love you brought that up, because yes, we're all guilty of it. And I know I certainly was guilty of it, because it was something about having this outlook about, I need to appear perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, I need to appear perfect, and people are going to judge me. And if I make a mistake, then people are going to judge me, and they're going to talk about it. And until I got to the point of realizing they're going to talk about it anyway, so I might as well just be who I normally am.
You're right. People are going to talk about you anyway. And honestly, you
Yeah.
want to attract the right people and repel the wrong people. So
Right.
being vanilla is not good, or looking at other leaders or other people in your niche and saying, "Oh, she's doing that, I should do that." That's so wrong. You can get some ideas, but if you show up as somebody else, you're attracting the wrong person. But if you're like, "Okay, I'm Melanie. I'm I'm inherently unorganized. I'm a middle child. I love watching Survivor." Like the things about me,
Yeah.
that's and my story, that's what sets you apart, is who you are. And so being vanilla and trying to be like everyone else in the space is going to just not allow you to stand out, whatever the opposite of that is.
Well, right. Because what you're speaking of is really about going back to your thing about personal brand, is that your personal brand is who you authentically are. And so that if you're real, you can be that, very easily. And then it doesn't create a bunch of overhead, what I call emotional and mental overhead. Because then it's okay, I don't have to put on the mask of pretending I'm a newscaster today. I mean, I can pretend I am, but yet I have a script, and I'm reading, the script, what they want me to say. And it is similar. Have you ever seen that movie? Oh God, if I can remember that. It was the lady in the yellow dress.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. It's about a woman. It's a woman who is a newscaster, and she's a complete mess, and she's doing things based on the script. And then she goes through this. She does something really ridiculous. It's a comical movie. And she goes to a bar her boyfriend left her, and then she goes to a bar with her girlfriends, and then she has this very strange encounter of at the bar, and this adventure that happens over the weekend. And then all of a sudden she finds out that she really did get this promotion that she was like passed over for, and then she shows up on the newscast a mess.
Oh, that's hilarious.
A mess. She just shows up, and then she's broadcast being authentic. And there was this whole story about this, like the news was chasing this woman with the yellow dress, and it was her, and her employer didn't know it was her. And then, she gets on the news, but then it opened doors for her, like in the movie, about then all of a sudden she was offered a better job, a better position for being authentic and real.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch it because I laugh so hard. I mean, it's a funny comedy, but in the spirit of that, it's something that I mean, I know myself. To get on a camera one time, it was scary.
It is for most people the first time,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and to have these live conversations was very scary.
Yep, but you persevered, and now it's part of who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And same with you. So you do it
Mhm.
all the time. And I love watching your videos about hormones
Yep.
because I mean, any all women deal with that.
Yes,
I mean,
we
men
do.
do too, but we're more conscientious about it.
Hmm. Yeah, I do a lot with that. So I'm partnered with a company where we do target hormonal balance, and most of it's connected to what's going on in your gut, which your gut is your center of your mental wellness too. So love working with women our age because we're going through so many things and they really can get help.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about because we've talked about a lot of different things about the spirit of social selling, of really calling it what it is. Because
Hmm.
we've talked about it from a view of connecting emotionally.
Yes.
Okay. And everybody, I mean, since COVID, sales and marketing has shifted in how we show up.
Hmm.
So, what would you say for you? You have shifted to come as your ahas that you're enhancing better to to teach, or that you're finding that you had to make some alterations in your strategies.
So great question. And I've been using a technique called attraction marketing even before the lockdown,
Okay.
because coming from a traditional marketing education environment where it was all about, features and benefits, features and benefits. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But again, talking about emotions, attracting people to me in order for them to want to know more about who I am and what I do versus promoting what I do and them trying to figure out who I am to see if they like me and want to do business with me. Right. And
Yeah.
so that shift, attraction marketing, is just showing up as yourself, being intentional, right? It's just not just like talking about anything, it's being intentional about what you share, not in a manipulative way, but in a how I want people, how I, again, personal branding, how I want people to connect with me. How do I want to make them feel when they connect with me by, and still being authentic to who I am? Because if I showed up, in something, I don't know, a suit every day. I don't wear a suit every day, and that wouldn't be authentic. I know I'd want to feel like, oh, I'm professional, but I'm professional by who I am. So
Right.
if I'm showing up in a tank top, a black tank top, or a dress, or whatever, that's who I am. So attraction marketing is showing up as yourself with an intentional. I hate saying the word strategy, but it is. But with an intentional content, let's say that, based on who I want, how I want people to connect with me, and how I want them to feel. And so attraction marketing is what I teach my clients, what I teach my team members, because it's actually, if you can get it, it makes marketing so fun and really effortless because you're just being yourself.
So, a few things that in what you said, I mean, really hit home because myself, I came from, a corporate background, and there's everybody's opinion on what is professional looking. And I appreciated that last week I spoke at a conference, and ahead of time, I received a note from the organizers, and they said, the dress code is business casual. We would prefer that you didn't show up in a suit. So,
Nice.
yeah. So, and it wasn't to say that you couldn't, but they were just letting you know ahead of time. And I appreciated that because I feel that more people perform better when they're dressed based on who they are instead of coming up with when I'm not saying dressing nice, there's something about dressing nice. Yes, if that's who you authentically are.
Mhm.
But yet at the same time, if you're dressing for the picture and the only thing that, if that's who you are, you're dressing for the picture, but then you don't have any substance. Or if you're saying, hey, I'm dress for success, but then you don't know what the next step is, or you don't know what you're offering somebody. Yeah, you have a nice outfit. You have nice makeup. You have nice hair. But that doesn't make you a business strategist.
Correct. Yeah.
Or that does not make you an expert. It makes you somebody that knows how to dress nice.
Yeah, to your point. So the top three leaders in my company, it's to your point. I'm just thinking of them on stage together. One of them is a Midwesterner, so she came on stage with her jeans, her cowgirl boots, a t-shirt, and like a fun blazer, like a more of a rugged blazer. The other one, she's from New York City. She had her jeans, her beaded leather jacket, and her beaded boots, and like a nice silk blouse. And the third one, she's like a valley girl. She came on perfectly, the beautiful labeled, whatever she was wearing was definitely designer, with their blonde hair. And the three of them are the best of friends. And each of them is probably making, multiple six figures, probably seven figures a year in our industry, in our business, our company. And they're all completely different and they're authentic to themselves. So it's not about fitting a mold. It's about fitting in, being your own self.
Well, I agree with that, because I can remember, and as I was listening to you, about 10 years ago, I remember going to an entrepreneurial conference in Las Vegas. And it was probably May. And me living in Alaska, as a reminder, those who live in Alaska know this, but for you in New York may not realize this. For us in Alaska, if it gets around 50 degrees, it's hot. If the sun is out and it's above freezing, it's hot to us. Okay. So here in May in Las Vegas, here's this entrepreneurial conference. Most people are dressed in suits, and I did bring some that type of fashion, but people were complaining about that it was too cold in the room with the air conditioning. So for this Alaskan, it was, are you kidding me? It's hot in this room with 150 people in here. So I remember going back to my room and I stripped myself of my suit and I had a tank top on and I had shorts on, which I stood out to everybody in this conference. And I remember the person that was hosting this conference says, looks and, says, that's not professional wear. And I said, but it's me.
Good for you.
And I'm hot. And I remember somebody else there said to me, she goes, you are the doctor of rebels and misfits, because you are sitting here sweating, not caring anything about what anybody else thinks. And everybody else is in this fancy attire and you're in your flip-flops and sitting here at this conference.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, being authentic to yourself, and you had more fun, and you were probably more engaged in the
I wasn't engaged, and in the spirit of that, from a marketing perspective, I think that's why I love your videos, because I can tell that you're real.
Thank you.
I can tell that you're, when you're in your kitchen and you're doing something fun and explaining, the hormone, things. I can relate to it because you're not somebody who's in a house dress, getting super fancy and claiming you wake up that way.
No.
and I will share that's what attracts me to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and that's just a lesson for us all. I mean, you with your flip-flops in a high-level meeting of other professionals, and me on social media there's so many people doing what I do, but you know what? I have to be me in order to attract people that I'm going to enjoy working with, and they're going to enjoy working with me. Because the worst thing in the world, I always tell my kids, is to wake up in the morning to a job that you hate.
Right. It's something that in our world today, I really do believe that we're shifting into that. either you're authentic or you're just going to die. And when I say die, that doesn't not mean like that you're going to leave this earth. What I mean is that eventually just people aren't going to want to deal with you.
You're going to be irrelevant.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but if you don't stand out, well, if you're like this and you're like this, what do I need you for? You're both the same.
Right. Because something that in my world that I have taught a lot of people, it's really what you're wearing doesn't necessarily make you smarter or make you more confident. You can be in the goofiest outfit, and if you're emanating who you are, what's real, what's confident, part of your personal brand.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that. Yeah. I love it. When my son was in preschool, he's now 20 years old. When he was in preschool, he used to wear a Spider-Man costume underneath a suit to go to preschool because he just wanted to. He wanted to be Peter Parker. Preschool. And then when he was in elementary school, one day he said, I want to dress up as a nerd. So he slicked back his hair. He put on fake glasses. He put on suspenders and jeans, and he went to school. He was a popular kid in high school. He played varsity lacrosse when he was a freshman, very well liked, all the things. And I love that because I think that having him be that when he was little, he just learned to love who he was. And so that confidence helped him to excel in other things as he got older. So he's like one of my heroes. I just think that if you could just show up in your Spider-Man costume and you don't care, I love it.
Yeah, why not? What do you think about, because I have this theory that if we can all have that childlike wonder of, in what we do and how we show up, in that spirit of marketing, what do you think of that?
Oh, that's the most authentic you can be. I just love that. And I spend a lot of time thinking about that because I deal with a lot of moms in midlife who are in or about to be in empty nest. And we do a lot of reminiscing about that, about how what our kids were like when they were little before the world got to them. And just, they didn't care, they were friends with whoever they wanted to be friends with. They said what they wanted, I like this, I like that, I want to be this when I grow up. And I just love that. And so in relation to marketing, we have to step into that again. What is our purpose and how do we align with that and not think too much about it? It's not like this big mental exercise. It's just like, well, where do you feel the best? Where do you feel the most energized? What sets your soul on fire? What could you do and not get paid for and just love it? Like going back to that, not I have to do this, I have to do that. What do I get to do?
Yeah. And I love that because, when we're children, most children don't sit there and think about stuff such as, how are we going to get the money to pay for X?
Mm-hmm.
They just say, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do. 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 I want to go to the park. I want to go to, I want to, I guess in today's world, I want the iPhone. In our era, it was more, hey, I want to go to Great America. I want to go to the Cubs game. I want to go to the Cubs game. Yeah. I want, stuff like that. But it's just interesting, the mindset, because there isn't necessarily as a child looking at it from a view that says, I don't have the money.
I think that people can find the resources for the things that they really want to do.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't have the money, it's just that you don't have it's not a priority.
Yeah.
And why isn't it a priority? Maybe it's just not a priority. But what is your goal? Once you know what your goals are, then you can determine what your priorities are, then you will find the resources for it.
I love that because I so agree with that, because if we're going to be actually authentic, a personal brand, it's really understanding who one is, because that's the only person you really can be.
You're absolutely right. Because if you try to be anyone else, it's not going to last. You can't step into another person's persona. If I'm in my industry, if I see like a top person, I'm like, oh, I want to be like her. I'm going to fall flat on my face because I won't be able to recreate that. It's not sustainable and it's not fun.
It's not, because here's something, we're talking about switching gears a little bit on the angle of it. To me, it's very similar to, I see ads out there of so many coaches that say, here, do exactly what I did, and in the next 48 hours you go from 0 to 7 figures.
Yeah. Nope. No, I mean, certain there's systems that are duplicatable. Okay.
Correct.
You go from these 5 steps, but how you do it is your strategy. So it's
Right.
not the what's duplicatable. And I give my team and clients a system that I
Yeah.
work with them. But how we do it, it depends on who they are, what their goals are, what their experience has been, what their stories are. And we put that in the system. So just like a copy and paste kind of a strategy, it's not going to work.
Well, it's similar to, do you cook at all? Because I cook.
A
And
lot, yes.
okay, me too. So, but I'm not a recipe follower. I'm an intuitive cook.
Oh, okay. Do you
So,
do you
yeah,
bake? Do you bake too?
not so much, because baking, you have to be precise.
That's right. So I was curious. All
I,
right.
I have done things, because here, I mean, I do have berry plants in my yard. So,
Oh,
yes, I will make a jam or a berry pie. And there's certain alterations that I'm not being so exact about, because but when cooking, to me, what you just said is that sometimes the presenter of, say, a business coach will say, do exactly these things, and lacks the intuitive side to say, okay, I gave you a system, but you need to have your personal brand inside of these steps and get clear about who you are.
yes.
What is your mission? It's not just, here's this system and just go through the system. Because if you go through a system, you don't know where you're going, then what?
Yeah, you're going to come to a dead end for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It's just interesting to me, because as I'm just listening to, there's so many similarities that what many may not realize when it comes to marketing the external, or who you are internally, or your internal business. You need to do it based on who you are.
Mhm, exactly. And that's a problem for many women our age because they forget who they are. If they're especially if they've raised a family, raised children. And so helping them to peel that back and rediscovering their significance, their purpose, their value, and creating a vision around a mission that they're passionate about. That's what I love to do.
I love that,
Mhm.
because I feel that so many women, especially if looking at the age and the era, and women, a lot of women struggle with this, women that may not feel that they're enough, and women that feel that they're just here to do everything perfect for their family, or have um, or go to work and get home, and then, oh, I got to get the dinner ready,
Mm-hmm.
and
Exactly.
and then do all of these things, and then forget about who she is.
Yeah, you're right. I remember when I was before I had my first, so I was watching diaper commercials because I was just watching those shows, and I was like, oh, what a clean, like I didn't even realize how fake that was because then I had a baby and I'm like, how come these are not like the diaper commercials? Everyone's happy, the house is put in order, things are clean, the baby is happy, like it was just we're set up for failure. And the reality of the situation is what if you can show reality, you're going to connect with people more and sharing your struggles versus when I had a baby it was xyz in a happy and positive way, and there are those times, but if you don't show the realness, the rawness, that people know exists. Like now, if I saw those ads, I'd be like, that's ridiculous. But in order to sell it to a new mom, it was powerful. Now, as I promote and connect with empty nest moms, I talk a lot about who are your friends now, because your friends were the parents of the kids in on the side, in the games, in the sidelines. And when they graduate, like they're not your friends anymore because it was a convenience friendship, or you have regrets from things that you wish you would have done differently now that you know better. So there's these universal connections, emotional connections that I can share with moms in my age range, or moms that are going through the same thing I have gone through. And when you show up with that authenticity and that reality, it connects in a way that nothing else will. Because again, the woman will say to me, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about this. Oh my goodness, how can I work with you? Oh my gosh, this is something that I want to do too. Oh yeah, I wish I could go back in time. And so that reality of truthfulness, really being true, and that's so different from the marketing and the advertising that we were exposed to, in my opinion, in the 70s and the 80s. And it was just like, um, a lot of the diet culture is a big thing for women,
Right.
like advertising the foods and the sodas and things that in the 80s and stuff like that. And I remember jingles in my head, so it was very effective. But they would show the thinnest woman eating this thing or drinking this soda. And that's just, I can't connect with that. Of course, that's who they were putting out there because that's what we want people to believe that they can become. But again, that's not reality. And I think that women, at least our age, are smarter than that now. They're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to look like, or oh yeah. But when you talk to her about the down and dirty, the real raw stuff, and how, listen, I understand you, I've been through it, I'm still in my journey, and this is what I know and this is what I've learned, and listen, I can help you with what I know. That's powerful.
That is powerful. So I love this, and I can keep talking to you about this. But where could you offer our listeners, any, okay, if they wanted to talk to you more, or if they want to learn more about, your arena of network marketing and helping, moms, uh, in the, stay home business and, find who she is again, especially, moms that are, late 40s into, in their 50s and beyond. How do they find you?
So I'm everywhere. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And LinkedIn. Those are my 4 platforms. So you can connect with me there. It's Melanie, Melani, no E, thanks to my mom and dad. Uh, and then my middle initial is H, and then last name is S as in Sam, ESSA. And I'm on all 4 of those platforms. I pretty much talk about the same thing over and over again. And I would love to connect with anyone, any lady who feels like, you know what, I want to do something now that my kids are older, or I need help with rediscovering my significance. What's going on with my hormones and my mental health now that I'm aging. Like all of these things are all together as we go through this journey of post menopause, empty nest, midlife, aging parents, kids leaving the nest, all of it. And I love working with those ladies.
And what is final wisdom? What do you want to leave with folks today?
Mm. That the purpose that you were given when you were born, that you may have forgotten, it's you maybe you used it, like you still have the same purpose. It's just going to be achieved in a different way as you grow older, as your life changes, but you're still meant to do that thing that is just that deep burning in your heart, and maybe you don't know how to express it now. Maybe it went from graduating college to raising a family, and now you're feeling that your family is leaving. It's like, what do I do now? You feel lost, you feel like you don't have a purpose. You do have a purpose. And so I want to encourage you that you have so much to offer. There are so many people who need your wisdom, your skills, your experience. And I want you to look in the mirror and remember that girl who was excited to embrace the world with her gifts and talents, because she's still there. And if you need help figuring that out, I want to help you.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with me and have this conversation. I really appreciate you, and I know that viewers will, whether they were able to join us live or on the replay, that they'll really enjoy the things that you shared. And thank you so much. And
Well, thank you so much. I always appreciate and love spending time with you.
Yes, I'm going to end the broadcast and I'll meet you backstage. Okay, thank
Sounds
you.
great.